He goes, hey, just so you know, when you do watch it, we were running long for time, so we cut the tag. I go, you mean the reveal where I kiss the woman? He goes, yeah, we ran out of time and we cut it. I go, then everything I did up to that moment has no justification whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because this is the craziest thing. He goes, I know. He goes, what are you going to do? It's TV. I go, all right, whatever. And I moved on and I was like, couldn't care less. But
you're listening to What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? Conversations in writing, art, and creativity. Today's episode is brought to you by my debut collection of true stories, A Paper Orchestra, available in print, ebook, and audiobook. To purchase and to support me and this podcast, please visit michaeljamin.com/book. And now, on with the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? Well, today I'm talking about acting with my guest Jamie Kaler. This guy, before I bring him on, this guy's credits are crazy. Like, he works a lot. And so I'm going to blow through. I'm going to do like the abridged version, because if not, we'll be here all day. But I'm going to go way back. I'm on IMDb now. And I'm only doing the ones that I decide are highlights. But like Jag, he's been on Friends, Suddenly Susan, Carnival, Third Rock from the Sun, King of Queens, Grounded for Life, Married to the Kellys, Arrested Development, Spanglish, 70s Show. What else? Will and Grace, The Family Stone. Who remembers that? Monk, New Adventures of Old Christine, Sons and Daughters, How I Met Your Mother, My Boys. We know him from that. And then, did I say Parenthood? Did I say Shake It Up? Did I say Austin and Ally? Did I say Teachers of the Year? I don't remember. I'm skipping Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Jesus, dude, it doesn't end. The Middle, Dads in Parks. Oh, we'll talk about that. Heathers, Robot Chicken, American Housewife. Most recently, Tacoma FD, where my partner and I created the character of Polanski. Jamie, that was exhausting. Are we done with the interview now?
honestly, it was so much fun being here, man. All right, everybody, take care. See you later.
That was such good advice. Sorry you guys all missed it. Dude, you've been around. How did you get into acting? How does someone get into acting, by the way?
People ask me nowadays, and I go, dude, it's nothing like I mean, it's now it's like, don't even move to LA. Just start a YouTube channel in upstate Minnesota and try to blow up. And then once you have a following, then you're set.
But we were talking about on your podcast, The Parent Lounge, but I don't think, like, I know you think it's like a burden, but I think it actually works in your advantage, to your advantage, because you're really good at it. Like, you have a great social media presence. You're quick on your feet. It seems to me even though it requires more work for you, it actually works in your favor. No?
You mean social media, doing it this way? Of course it is, but I already did it. So now I'm kind of, the same way that I used to go buy wigs and glue on mustaches and actually lit myself on fire on stage at Acme Comedy Theater when I was doing crazy shows on Friday and Saturday nights in the 90s, with that fervor of like, what are we doing today? We're going to Goodwill. We're going to get some costumes. Here we go. And I remember renting equipment, trying to shoot shorts and trying to, Clerks, and Ed Burns had made the brothers McMullen or whatever. And it was like, come on, we're making film. It was super hard and it was painful and it was costly. And nowadays you can do it with your phone, but I'm older. I don't quite have the drive. I also am watching two little kids, so the time in the day is like where I used to go, this is my day. I'm going to go do this. Now I'm like, I dropped the kids at school. I had to go to the cleaners. I'm taking care of the two kids. I got to pick them up. I'm coaching soccer today. So yes, I will say though, especially watching you and, you're a writer, but now you have to become a social media guru to get people to see what you've created, and you're an artist. But nowadays, gosh, I was posting something this morning about the pregnant pause is gone. Pretty soon humans are going to evolve where the eyes, instead of side by side, are over the top of each other, because horizontal's over, everything's vertical. We need to flip our eyes, and years from now no one will take a breath, because we've dictated that the breath makes people lose attention.
You know
Like
what
if you
though?
take a pause, people go, done, I can't. He took a breath. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So I just had this conversation yesterday because I dropped an audiobook, and so some woman said I was doing a live. She goes, "Oh, I bought your audiobook. I love it, but I listened to it on 1.25 speed." But I'm like, but when I take a pause, it's because I want to put a pause there. I want to give you a moment to soak it in. It's not arbitrary.
I wanted to take like a Richard Pryor act, from his comedy special and cut all the air out of it.
Right.
And so you would take like a 50-minute, 1 hour special where there's a groove, he's in the moment. It would be like if you took Buddy Rich and you like took all the space
Right.
between the drum beats out. You're like, a lot of the art is in the space.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we have forgotten that. And now it's
Right.
like you have to, it's a machine gun
Yeah.
or people's brains shut off.
This is something when we're shooting a sitcom, we'll say, often we'll tell the actor, make sure you hold for a laugh here. Hold for the laugh because you will get one. And yeah, what do we do about this?
Well, I don't know because I was watching. Have you watched Shogun?
No, am I supposed to watch that?
It's new. It's based on the book. Oh my gosh,
Okay.
it's glorious. I had never read the book. 1600s feudal
Yeah.
Japan.
Right.
A simple, brutal, vicious life of it's gorgeous. They had a full society. It's like the 1600s.
Wait, where am I watching this? Where can I
It's
get
on
it?
FX and on Hulu. And
Okay.
and Portuguese and Portugal and England are the two powerhouses on the earth, and they are at war, and they're basically fighting for ownership of the East, even though the East they're like, we're here. No one's going to own us. So it's all about that. But it's just this beautifully. I mean, it's like art. It's like going to the museum, seeing this story unfold. But people's brains nowadays, some dude just riddling 30 seconds of garbage on TikTok will get a jillion times more views than that because, I talked to somebody who said, hey, have you seen Shogun? Someone's like, oh, it just seems slow. And I was like, what do you, it's one of the greatest stories of all time. It's like one of the best-selling books of all time. It's history and gorgeous and art and it's beautifully shot. And they're like, boring. I don't have time for that crap.
So what do we have? Right. So what do we do?
No. If everything accelerates, there has to be a point where the human brain, it's like when they go, oh, this TV is 4K, and you're like, dude, I'm in my 50s. I can't even see 5K. I can't see any K anymore. It's like, so the more resolution, it doesn't really matter at some point. Your brain can't accept it.
Well, worse than that. So my TV's, I have a nice plasma TV, but it's probably 15 years old and it cost a fortune when I got it. But the new ones, the resolution is so clear, it kind of looks like you're watching like a bad TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like you watch a expensive movie and it looks like it's bad TV because I'm seeing too much.
The human face is not supposed to be seen with that much resolution.
Yeah.
You see people and you're like, oh, that dude had a rough night.
Yeah.
Where you used to be able to hide it. And now you're like, no.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, all right. So have you had these conversations with your agent and your managers, or is this just like when we were talking about like building your social media following? Are they telling you this, or are you just like your friends are doing it now? I got to do it too.
You mean why try to build this? Well, it's also, listen, it's funny because my wife will give me grief sometimes and she goes, your stories are too slow, which is crazy because I'm one of the fastest speakers who's ever lived.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when I'm working, people go, you need to bring it down a little bit. But on social media, if I don't want to sit and take a 90-second video and edit it down to a minute to take out the 30 seconds of pauses because some guy, but that's the dilemma. Everything's the lowest common denominator. The jokes are, I see something that blows up and I go, that was a great joke when George Carlin told that in 1972. And it was really well written and scripted. And now you've kind of bastardized it and you've put it into a 10-second with your speaking voice is intolerable, but I get it. That's what people want. They're scrolling through and you're like, that's how it works. So I'm also a dinosaur, man. These, it's like my daughters are 10 and they're already like, flying through stuff. So, I mean, I don't know how to stop it.
Do you know people? I mean, obviously, back in the day, when you'd go to auditions, now everything's, you submit. But back in the day, I'm sure you were going to an audition and they're the same 10 actors that you would see, trying out for the same part. Do you think they're doing the same thing that you're doing, building a social media presence?
Well, I think you have to nowadays. Honestly, I see that the social media presence is it's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to go learn how to act. You don't have to learn how to be a stand-up comic. You don't have to learn these skills and slowly build your way up the top. You do it because you're a personality. People are intrigued not by people who are they're intrigued by humans. It's a voyeuristic thing, I think, where people are like, you'll see somebody and they're just talking to camera. They're not even good speakers. There's something off. There's a crazy story. And maybe they've just been doing it for 15 straight years and built up a following and put some money behind it, put some ads, made sure they got some clicks. Maybe they bought a few followers, and you're like, but the craft, the art of what you do as a writer, I mean, is it slowly falling? But that's the problem nowadays with my kids. Like, we just got their report cards and really good grades, but you can see on the standardized test their reading is starting to slip because kids don't read. It's too slow for them. Their brain is like, well, I can't. They just can't slow. People cannot slow down anymore, and it's where does it go from here? I don't know.
But I have to say that, so I don't. A lot of this is I don't think is coming from producers. So, like, I was on a show a few years ago, maybe let's say 10 years ago, and the studio, or the network rather, wanted us to cast a guy with a big social media following for this role, and I'm like, wait, really? Why? What about an actor? Can we just get an actor? Because isn't this Hollywood? Aren't there actors everywhere? And it's because networks are having a hard time marketing their show, and these people with followings, they can market their own show.
Kevin Hart, I mean, I remember something they were like, well, you're going to post about the movie. And he's like, if you pay me. And they were like, why would we pay you? You're in the movie. He goes, yeah, you paid me for my acting services. Now you want me to be your publicist. If you want me to publicize this film, you will pay me for it because I accumulated these 50 million followers on my own. Yeah. Why would I just give it to you?
But here's where I'm curious about that, though, because I'm not sure if he doesn't post. I get his point. Like, why should I do the marketing as well? But if he doesn't do the marketing, it'll hurt him for his next movie because it won't perform as well in the box office. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's a double-edged sword, but I also think he doesn't care. He doesn't care because he has that following, he will. And they'll put it into the budget. I'm sure the agents and managers are like, all right, so this is his money that you're going to pay him. This is part of the marketing fee you're going to, and listen, I totally understand it. I'm sure I've lost parts because people have gone over to go, his following is not as big as this guy. At the end of the day, could a ton of other people played Polanski? Absolutely. Would they have huge followings? Yes, of course. So, I feel lucky anytime I get a job to promote it. I feel like I'm qualified for that job, but I also know it's, you look back at the history of film and, Philip Seymour Hoffman died. The 5 projects he had ready to go, they just replaced him. He's arguably one of the greatest actors of our generation. Nobody missed a beat. Yeah. So are we all replaceable? Absolutely. Are we lucky to be in the business? Yeah. I mean, I would argue writers are more necessary because you're creating the project to start with. But as an actor, unless you're Daniel Day-Lewis or somebody who's that crazy of a craft, then, it's about chemistry, I think, anyway. But, you have to, those people are trying to get their films out. And so there's so much white noise on a daily basis that to cut through that, they're like, well, if this guy has 5 million followers and he puts up one post, what they don't see is that only 3% of those 5 million people even see.
But this is where I think the studios and the networks have really screwed up royally, is that they haven't figured out a way to build their own brand. So my wife and I will watch a movie or a TV show. We'll get halfway through it and we'll fall in the night. We'll say, let's watch the rest tomorrow. Almost all the time, I forget where I watched it. And now I have to search. Was it on Netflix? Did I watch it on Amazon? Where did I watch this? Because there's no brand anymore. And so now without a brand, they can't market their shows. They have to rely on me and you to market their shows. It puts us in the driver's seat, not them. This is like a major blunder on their parts, I feel.
It's
you
not just
know?
them. I'd say stand-up clubs. Back in the day, you did a bunch of shows. You finally put a tape together. You sent it to a club. The club had a following. The club had the following,
Right.
and you knew if you went to that club, you were going to see Richard Jenny, Brian Regan,
Mhm.
Jerry Seinfeld. Like you knew these guys. Whatever show you went to, you were going to be surprised, but you'd be like, "Man, those guys are really funny."
Right.
Nowadays, the club is literally a rental space that you bring the following to. That's why they book influencers who have millions of followers. And then they get on stage, and I guess some are good and some maybe don't have. It's a different skill level,
Wait, do you
for
feel when you go to, so do you still perform comedy, stand
I
up?
do. I don't I used to tour a ton before the kids, and I was on the road all the time. And then once the kids were born, I didn't really want to do that as much. So now I stay home. So I kind of cherry pick gigs to go out for. And it's the road's a lot different, I feel like, than it used to be.
So do you feel the quality of the stand-ups, they're not quite as good anymore?
I think some
Or
people are,
we
but I
just sound like
think
old men. Is that, which one is
yeah,
it?
absolutely. And I'd say that all the time. I'm a dinosaur, but I will say that the the maybe the skill nowadays is not being a stand-up comic, but being a social media manipulator. And
Yeah.
and I mean that is it's always been the skill. People used to hire publicists even back then, and I never did. And they'd be in People magazine, and I'd be like, what's the point of all that? And then I kind of, as I got older, I was like, oh, fame allows you to do the jobs you
Yeah.
want to do. That's
Yeah.
really the trick. But I
Yeah.
mean, to be Tom Cruise, I never wanted that because that dude can't leave his house. Like he
Yeah.
can't just go to the supermarket. He can't go to a park. I never
Yeah.
wanted that. But that makes him and DiCaprio, those are the guys that are Johnny Greenlight. Like, they
Yeah.
get the first choice of scripts. And so they are allowed to do these amazing jobs that because how many people do you think nowadays can sell a picture?
Oh, yeah. That's the whole thing. I don't know. Or can open, like, I don't know. Do you think it's more or less? I guess I would imagine it's probably less now. Because celebrities changed. What do you think?
I think the era of the movie star is over. I think
Oh,
Tom
yeah,
Cruise and
right.
Brad Pitt and DiCaprio are going to be the end of, and Damon are going to be the end of it. I mean, there's
Right.
no, you see like whatever on Netflix, and it's like a TikTok Charlie D'Amelio. I
Right.
haven't seen it. Maybe she's a wonderful actress. I don't know, but you go up through that ranks, and all of a sudden you have 12 million followers or whatever, and then you could sell. I mean, it's Kardashian really was. We all gave her grief, but in retrospect, they were the smartest people in the room.
Yeah.
They saw it coming, to their credit, and made $1 jillion off of it. Whether that's what you want to do with your life, but my kids want to start a YouTube page and a TikTok, and I'm like,
Mhm.
she's 10 years old,
It's
but
too soon. Yeah.
I mean, can everyone on earth can we keep an economy running if everyone's just an influencer? I don't know.
Well, there's the big question, right? If everyone's trying to, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at what you're doing. You wrote a book. You sat down, probably took quite a while. It's a very
Hmm.
good book. I
Thank
read
you.
it. I've read it, and it's like, but the point is, almost everybody's wrote a book now, right? And everybody's
Yeah.
a stand-up comic, and everyone's a
Hmm.
performer. And back when I did it, it was like people were like, "Oh my God, you do stand-up?" I would never do that. I'm terrified. Now I'll be at like a supermarket, and some grandma's like, "Oh, I do stand-up every Tuesday night at like retirement home," and you're like, "It's
But
not
I
it's not
also
what you
feel
think."
like you're reinventing yourself, though. That's got to be exciting and interesting, no? Or is
Of
it like,
course it is. Of course it is. I do listen, I love doing it. And, like everyone else, it's a love-hate relationship
yeah,
because I'll think of something immediately. I'll put together a little funny bit that it's like a stand-up bit or something, and then I'll be able to share it with all my fans, and they will respond accordingly. And you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, this actually is a pretty good. I just also think we're the learning curve. Like we're the first generation to kind of go through all this.
wait, let me tell you how I hoard myself out this morning. So I wondered, because I'm posting a lot to promote my book. I'm doing a lot of lives, and I'm like, well, I see other people do lives, and I'm not sure what the magic is. Like they're cooking eggs or whatever. Like, are we watching this person cooking eggs?
Yeah.
Is this right? So I'm like, all right. I tell my wife, I say, today's push-up day. So I'm like, all right, I guess maybe I'll just do push-ups, and people, will that work? And I did push-ups on live, and I don't know, like 20 people watched, and I was like, I felt kind of stupid about the whole thing, but people were watching. I don't know. Is this what I got to do now? Push-ups?
I fear it is if that's what you want to do for a living. I think this is if you want to be in this business. I think that's the necessity of it. To be honest, I'm not sure I would have ever signed up for this if I knew. Although when I was younger, I probably would have I would have been Truman showing
Yeah,
the whole thing.
right, right. But you
But I
wouldn't have
do
signed up.
wonder, like my kids, I think they were at their friend's house or something, and they Googled me. They
Mhm.
told me and they're getting to that age, and I'm like, uh-oh, what did you watch? And they watched some crazy video I did where I said something stupid or whatever. And I don't know if every moment of our lives is supposed to be captured. I don't know what the answer is. I have such a love-hate. Certain days I wake up and I go, like even this morning, I was telling you I was writing a bit about something or other. And then another day I'll wake up and I go, I don't want to do any of it. I just want to go golf. And that was the
And
beauty. I
that,
became an actor because it was the easiest thing. Like I worked hard to become a good actor. I took classes. I worked on my craft. But I wasn't on 24/7, like
I
trying to.
feel, tell me if you feel this way. Because if I don't, I try to post almost every day. And if I take 1 or 2 days off, that turns into 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? It gets easy not to do it.
Of course, of course. But do you feel guilty after those 2 or 3 days? Do you have any guilt, or do you actually go, "Ugh, what am I doing? This feels great."
So yeah, it's mixed, like you're saying. It's like, but a lot of it is like, this is my job. This is how you get a book out there. This is how you can. This is how I work so hard not to work. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm working harder now than I ever did when all those credits were being made.
Yeah.
I would bust my ass. I would get ready. And also, acting's about physicality. I would make sure I was in shape. I'd work out. I'd do all this stuff. And then I would go either do an audition and then there'd be downtime, and you'd be like, all right, all right. Okay. And then you'd kind of ramp it up again. Now it's like just constant blinders on of like, and then the problem also I see is the follow up. Like when you performed on stage, you either got to laugh right then and there and you moved
Mhm.
on. But now, like my wife, we have long conversations because she's on Instagram as well. And so
What does she do? What does she do on Instagram? What is she? I don't even know. What is she?
she
An
works in the
actor?
pharmaceutical industry.
So why is she? Oh, I think you told me. Why is she on Instagram? Oh, does she post on Instagram?
She posts, but she has her own page. And then so she's very, specific about it. She'll edit and quiz me. And I go, do you want to hear I don't care. Nobody
Mm,
cares. Just post it. But it's
yeah,
like, well, what do you think? This picture or this? I go, nobody
yeah,
cares. What
yeah,
song? Do you think this song, is this song saying too much about me? Or should I feel like maybe I should
yeah,
should it just be instrumental? I go, Kate, I don't care. The trick is to post and walk away.
yeah.
And then, people will, for the rest of the day, scroll because it's the dopamine of like,
Hmm.
oh, so and so. Oh, did you know so and so just like that post I put up this morning? I don't know where this ends, but I find that some days if I just do something physical where I'm like digging in the garden in the backyard, it's the greatest 3 hours of my life where I'm like, I
Hmm.
didn't think about anything. I don't know. I don't know where it ends, but yeah. But we're
But
also
how?
too like get off my lawn old guys who are like, why are you maniac kids?
But how much time do you think you put on social media every day? Do you, or like either way you're working on or thinking of working on it or whatever?
Well, we have so I wasn't really I never cared. I never cared. It was just recently that I've started to make an effort. Like during the
Hmm.
pandemic kind of destroyed me. I stayed home with two kids. I had a kindergartner and a second grader. And my wife was working 12 hours a day. We have an
Hmm.
office in the house where she was gone.
Oh,
Like
wow.
we didn't see her for like 12 hours. And I think part of it
Wow.
she was hiding is because it was the pandemic. We also having construction done on the house.
Hmm.
It was arguably the worst time in my life. And so I was trying to, maintain the kids. So I printed out schedules. I made them put their school uniforms on. I took two
Oh,
desks. I set them up on opposite ends of the house. They were doing it on Zoom, but one's in kindergarten and one's on second grade. So
yeah.
they weren't old enough to really go, I got it.
Yeah.
At 9:40, they'd be released for recess. I'd have to get them snacks. At 11:30, it was lunch. At 2:50, school ended. And then we were trying to maintain
Oh.
sanity. So I started this kind of parental mental health Zoom at night. And
Hmm.
obviously we were drinking extensively. I mean, it was a pandemic.
Mental health, but drinking.
It was mental health, and we were sipping hardcore and sharing horrible stories. And so
Yeah.
it grew into this. I started this thing called the Dadlands, and it just grew. It was just Zoom. It wasn't even a podcast or anything. And that kind of caught on. I mean, there were guys. I was like, dude, don't kill yourself. We're going to get through this thing. Like guys were hanging on by a thread. It kind of, and we made ourselves all feel better because we were seeing that everyone else was going through this nightmare.
Yeah.
And that eventually grew into the Parents Lounge podcast with my
Right.
other buddy who was in it. He was doing Dadpocalypse. I was doing Dadlands. We started a podcast. I'm not a promoter. So I really love doing the podcast. We were doing it live. You've come and done it. The Parents Lounge. It's super fun. It's a parental mental health night. You know, I've kind of laid off the sauce since then. And all of a sudden, it kind of grew into this thing, but we never marketed it. We would just throw it out there, and then the other dude would put it up on iTunes, but we wouldn't even put a post of like, hey, Dave Keckner's on this Monday.
Yeah.
Nothing. Just threw it in the ocean because I don't want to be a marketer.
Right.
I didn't move to Hollywood to be a publicist. It's not what I
Right.
do. So finally, we're at the crap or get off the pot phase of like, look, we have a pretty good following considering we haven't put 1 ounce of work into the promotional part of it. And so finally, everyone's like, look, dude, you either have to become a promoter or you're wasting your time. You need to monetize. You know, we would do some live gigs here and there, but all of a sudden, Ruppel came in. Justin Ruppel was our partner in this thing. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, all right. So I committed. I'm committing to trying, like you, with a book where I feel like we have a really great product. How do we get people to see it? And you're like, this is the way to do it. So we went out and I enjoy stuff like this where we have conversations and we get in depth on stuff. But as far as like just constantly putting up a story with a link to the podcast to do this and stuff, it's
Well, that you can outsource. That's easy.
we're outsourcing it. And so we
Right.
finally started outsourcing it. And I hadn't outsourced it at all.
Yeah.
But it's like I equate it to the gold rush. It's like the people who really got rich during the gold rush were Levi Strauss and Woolworth and the guys who sold the pickaxes.
Yeah.
So, at some point, I should become the outsource guy or something. But yeah.
But do you see okay, what are your aspirations with the show? What would you like it to become, if anything?
So I love doing the show. I would love a strong following. We've kind of branched off to do other stuff, but honestly, live shows. We have done a few, and we're starting to book more. And then, to monetize it to a degree. Once you start putting all the work into it, you're like, well, maybe we should at least see something.
But the live show you have to produce. You got to bring in equipment, mics. You got to mix it.
Just literally, as comics, we show up. I can't tell you the last time I sound checked.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
you
we're doing
record
the podcast live.
Yeah.
You're talking about, but
Right,
we do it as. Here's the beauty of what we do. We're already stand-ups. Like I was a headlining comic touring the country. I did Montreal Comedy Festival. I've been on late night TV. So for me, that's the easy part. When I used to do stand-up, it was never about the show. It was more I would peek out and go, is anybody here? And the smartest guys on earth were Segura, Rogan, Kreischer, Joe Coy, who not only were great comics, but they were also really good at marketing themselves.
Yeah.
And so those guys were doing mailing lists for 30 years and building, and I wasn't. I would go, sets went great, crush it, and then go have a couple cocktails at the bar because I didn't have kids either. I didn't really care about trying to blow it up. So it was never about the show. It was about getting eyes on it. And I feel like that's where we're at now. We have such a strong, every time we go do it, we crush live. And the question is, how do we get other parents and people to go, this would be a great show to come to? That's really the marketing part of it.
To tour is it all in? So it's improv, or is it scripted, or what is the show?
We each have acts. Like I have 2 albums on iTunes. So
okay. So it's a comedy. So it's a comedy show.
It's a stand-up comedy show that disguised as a podcast, really. And we would bring our guests with us. Maybe, we talked about having Lemmy and Heffernan come out and do the podcast live with those guys. And then, but it would be billed as the Parents Lounge Live with these special guests. But it's really a stand-up show for the audience. With under the guise of a podcast. And we would do, we have bits and we would do improvisational stuff set up and questions with the audience for the for the guests and for everybody else. But we
But
just
I
did it
do.
in Sayre, and we did it in Sayre, Pennsylvania, in the fall, and it was like 2 hours of just. I'm not even sure I touched that much of my material.
Because you're ad-libbing.
We were riffing hard, and but we always had the material to step back on. It's
Right.
like that's my favorite is you have these tracks, but you get off the tracks, you fool around, and if all of a sudden it starts to lag a little bit, you go, all right, here's some bits, and then bring them back in.
You are listening to What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? Today's episode is brought to you by my new book, A Paper Orchestra, a collection of true stories. John Mayer says it's fantastic. It's multi-timbral. It runs all levels of the pyramid at the same time. His knockout punches are stinging sincerity. And Kirkus Review says, those who appreciate the power of simple stories to tell us about human nature, or who are bewitched by a storyteller who has mastered his craft, will find a delightful collection of vignettes, a lovely anthology that strikes a perfect balance between humor and poignancy. So, my podcast is not advertiser supported. I'm not running ads here. So if you'd like to support me or the podcast, come check out my book. Go get it in an ebook or a paperback, or if you really want to treat yourself, check out the audiobook. Go to michaeljamin.com/book. And now back to our show.
I mean, I don't know. I see people doing it online. I'd be doing exactly what you're saying. But they take their podcast on the road, and somehow how do you think they're selling tickets though?
Because their followings are so strong that people, a lot of times also, I see these shows and, to me, the shows, I go, there's no show here. It's just this guy showed up. It's basically a 2-hour meet and greet. Mm-hmm. But honestly, that's what some people love. They don't even care. They just want to be in the same room. The guy will tell a couple stories. They'll play some bits they'll have they'll play bits on a screen and make it a show. And, and they'll record the podcast live, but people are so enthralled by people chatting. I really missed my window because it really was my strong suit back in the day of just riffing and going along with stuff and being in the moment and chatting. But podcast wasn't happening. And at the time when podcasts started, I was like, are we going back to radio? Why would people listen to podcasts? I was shocked. And yet,
but your brand you're trying to aim it towards parents or men, dads. Is that right?
Well, it's all parents. And, we've toured with moms. We usually take out moms. We've had Tammy Pescatelli, Kira Sultanovich on the show, Betsy Stover. We just had Nicole Birch. I mean, I think you need a mom's point of view. So when we do live shows, we typically bring out a mom as well with us.
But but is the focus basically on kids and parenting?
It is to a degree, but I also, sometimes we'll watch some of those shows and it's like, sometimes parents don't want to talk about kids. So we kind of go where we go. And it's about life and just, the whole thing was trying to get people to understand that you see Instagram and you think your life, you're like, why isn't my life like that? And the point of our podcast is really to go, nobody's life's like that, dude. When's the last time you met someone who just was not absolutely full of shit? Have you met anybody who's not just full of shit? Anyone?
Well, the thing is, especially in Hollywood, a lot of people were trying to hype themselves up. And I discovered early on, this is like 30 years ago, that was the people who were talking most about their career really had nothing going on. And the people who didn't talk about it, they didn't talk about specifically because they didn't want people to hit them up for a job.
You know what I'm saying? I said that exact point like 2 days ago. I was talking to Lori Kilmartin, and she was saying the same. When I got here, if you were the one who were like, look at me, people were like, that guy's a loser.
Yeah.
It was almost, and then all of a sudden, humble brag. I blame it on humble brag. Humble brag. Do you remember hashtag humble brag? That was the first one where people like, it's really just a brag. You're saying humble, but you're really just bragging. But back in the day, like I remember doing Friends and Will and Grace, and it was big. It was big. And I really didn't tell anybody. People would come in and talk to me and go, dude, were you on Friends last night? And I was like, I was. And they go, why wouldn't you tell us? And I go, it seems dirty. I felt dirty, like bragging about what I was doing. But nowadays, if you're not constantly brag, people are like, well, I guess he doesn't have anything to promote.
I remember even just people not in the business, they'll say, so humble to accept this. I'm so humbled to accept this award, whatever, where they might have been in sales or whatever. It's like, but you're using the word humbled wrong. That's not what humbled. That's not what humbled means. You're literally bragging.
I feel that way every time when I'm acting and the director goes, and cut. That was perfect. We're going to do it again. And I go,
exactly.
You're using the word perfect improperly. Perfect means there's nothing better.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the meaning of perfect, and you're not using it correctly. I know.
One of the things that like I always get, this is my pet peeve about being a writer. You'll turn in a draft of a pilot you've been working on for months, right? And you just turn it in, and then they'll say, "Great, we're setting up a notes call for Wednesday." Isn't it possible you love it? Is it you already? We know you don't like it. You already know there's something you want to change. It's like, oh.
You didn't even read the title, and you're like, all right, I have notes.
I have notes. Of course you do.
Well, listen, if they didn't have notes, they wouldn't have a job. And so I think they're like, well, I mean, we have to find something wrong with this thing.
Right.
They would get they would get the screenplay for The Sting and go, I mean, does the guy have to have a limp? I don't get the Robert Shaw limp. It's like, dude, can you just go, this is pretty great. Yeah. And also, you're not a writer. It's not what you do.
It's hard to. Now you're killing me.
I did a show one time. I won't say the name of the show, but I did a show. It didn't go anywhere. But my character is a car salesman. I see these two guys come into the showroom, and I want to sell them a car, and I think they're gay. Mm-hmm. So I pretend to be gay. This is, of course, back in the time when I guess you could do that without being canceled. So I act gay to them to get them to buy the car, and we're going to be friends and stuff. And at the end of the episode, my character then kisses a woman who's another salesperson as the reveal. He's not gay. He was doing it to do that, whatever. So all week, the studio execs keep coming over and they go, dude, you gotta gay it up. You gotta amp it up. We're not getting the joke. You have to play this extremely gay.
Okay.
And then they would walk away, and the showrunner would walk over and go, dude, I want you to play it dead straight. I don't want you to play gay whatsoever. So after every take, two people kept coming over, giving me completely opposite notes, and I didn't know who.
Wait, so go ahead, finish your story because I want to jump on it.
So I'm in the middle. I'm doing it. I'm not pleasing either of them.
Right.
I'm right in the middle of like, I guess maybe a little F. I don't know. And because I have played gay characters numerous times in TV, and usually I don't do anything. I just, because, it doesn't have to be that way. And so I would play it dead straight. And so the show goes, it's a train wreck of a week. I'm just getting eviscerated on both sides of like, I'm not pleasing anybody because I'm trying to ride the line in the middle of between these two 180-degree notes. Whatever. It's a train wreck. We finished the shoot. I'm miserable. I run into the showrunner maybe 3 months later, and he tells me, he goes, hey, just so you know, when you do watch it, we were running long for time, so we cut the tag. I go, you mean the reveal where I kissed the woman? He goes, yeah, we ran out of time and we cut it. I go, then everything I did up to that moment has no justification whatsoever.
Yeah.
I go, this is the craziest thing. He goes, I know. He goes, what are you going to do? It's TV. I go, all right, whatever. And I moved on, and I was like, couldn't care less. But you're like, again, art, you wrote something, your brain had this beautiful story you wanted to unfold, and then commerce, and everybody has to prove that they're part of the mix, and they can't be hands-on.
I'm very surprised that you got notes directly from a studio executive, because that's inappropriate. They're supposed to go through the director.
I thought the exact same thing. And it's not how it worked. They came right up to me. Oh, I've had that many times. I've had studio people talk to me all the time. Yeah. Well, also, I wasn't a star. I was a guest.
Yeah, but still, you're not supposed. That's not. First of all, the DGA can file a grievance over that if they were to complain. The DGA, I think that's part of the thing. But here's how I would have played. If I were you, this is what I would have done. I would have done one take, over the top, and one place straight. Okay, I'm gonna do two different takes, and you decide later which one you want to use.
I think I did do that to some degree. I don't think I said it out loud about have fun and edit. And also, as a guest star, It's the
Yeah,
worst. It's the greatest job, but it's also the worst job.
it is.
These people have been locked and loaded. I did Friends. The week I
Mhm.
did it, they were on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yeah,
They'd been burned in the press when they spoke. They weren't outwardly mean to me, but they also, weren't like, "Hey,
yeah,
welcome to the," they
yeah,
spoke to each other in hushed tones away from, and
yeah,
I didn't blame them. I got they couldn't go to a supermarket. They were
yeah,
just famous
yeah.
beyond belief. But the set was tense, super
Hmm.
tense, because a lot riding, a lot of money on this thing. The shoot was 8 hours long. After
Yep.
four, they got rid of the first audience, brought a whole nother audience in, and
Hmm.
you start to watch the sausage get made, and you're like, this is supposed to be fun and comedy, but sometimes these things are super tense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. Do you have any experiences that were great sets that you love working on?
So many. And listen, even that set, the cast was great.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and Friends was great. It was, I mean, here was the greatest thing about doing Friends, or even honestly, Will and Grace.
Hmm.
I watched Will and Grace. I watched the four of them. Dude, they were a machine. Combined with the writing staff,
Yeah.
it was, and Jim Burrows directing.
Hmm.
It was like a master class, the four of them. And they would rewrite on the fly. They'd do one
Yeah.
take and almost rewrite the entire scene. And then they'd go, Jamie, here's your new lines. And, I did like 6 episodes over the years. And each time I went back, it was like, you better bring your A game, because they
Yeah.
would change the whole scene. And they go, so you enter here now, you say this, and then he's going to say this, and you're going to go, and your
Yeah.
brain's spinning. But
Yep.
the four of them, man, they were honestly maybe the best cast I've ever seen.
Really.
Just, it was like a Marx Brothers, where da 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 da
Yeah.
da 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 da, like they just were so perfect in their timing. It was pretty impressive.
I had Max Muchnick on my podcast a few weeks ago, talking, the showrunner. The funny thing is, I was touring colleges with my daughter years ago, not that long ago, whatever. We were touring Emerson, and the tour guide goes, "Oh, and this is the Max Muchnick building." And I'm like, and it's funny, he goes, "Anyone know who he is?" I'm like, "Max gave you a building?
Yeah.
Does anyone know who he is?" That fucker's
He
got.
they were both great. And I was like overwhelmed because I was so new, and my very first one, Gene Wilder played the boss. I'm the dick in Will's law firm, and like I'd only done a
Yeah.
sitcom or two, and then I got Will and Grace out of nowhere on like a crazy afternoon. It was supposed to be another big name guy, and he fell out at the last second, and I got cast and was like shooting in the morning, and I was terrified. And then I
Mm-hmm.
show up and Gene Wilder's playing my boss, and I had to do a
Amazing.
scene with Willy Wonka. And
You
I was
Max.
like,
No
I,
kidding.
by the way,
Gene Wilder.
I didn't start acting until I was 30. I was a Navy lieutenant.
Oh,
I was in the
really?
U.S. Navy. Yeah,
I
that's
didn't know
that's why
that.
I play cops a lot. I was a Navy lieutenant. I got
Uh-huh.
out at like 28. I hung around San Diego, bartended, had fun.
Why did you get it so early? Like, I think you're supposed to stay in forever and get a great pension.
Oh my God, it's like I'm talking to my father. My father begged me. I still have the letters he and I wrote back and forth where I told him I was getting out, and
Mhm.
he was so pissed because he was a pilot. My dad flew in World War II. My brother was an admiral,
Oh,
and I got
wow.
out to become an actor, and my father
Right.
was just
What are
furious.
you doing? Don't you want to retire?
Then I booked Jag. Like one of my first TV shows was, well, actually, my first show was Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas
Okay.
and Bobby Sixkiller there, whatever his name is.
Did you know, I know I'm jumping around, but did you know Kevin and Steve before you got booked on
Yes,
you did?
yes.
From what?
I had done, we bumped into each other once, a couple times doing stand up. I was doing the
Okay.
improv or something. And then I forget how, it's all blurry. I did their podcast, Chewing It,
Right.
and then just kind of hit it off with them. And then they came
Mhm.
and did mine. And, God, and you talk about sets, like My Boys was my greatest
Yeah.
4 years of my life. It was just, I met my wife, I bought a house, I was on a billboard on Times Square, we traveled the world, we shot on Wrigley Field in
Wow.
Chicago. I mean, it was glorious. Because of
Yeah.
that, I started to headline clubs. It was just this like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Tacoma FD where I was on a set where, oh, people came early, people
Mhm.
stayed late, you were almost going, it was like it brought you back to a kid being going to like theater camp going, we're here, I'm making a show. But again, as you know, it goes by the EPs and number one on the call sheet. And that
Yeah.
dictates the tenor
The
of the
tone.
show. Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
both the same. So yeah. So yeah.
And those guys, that sets a family. Like
Yeah.
literally everybody, and that's why you also have to be really careful. You can't say anything because everybody's related to everybody and they're all
Mhm.
friends. And then,
Yeah.
Soder came and played Wolf Boykins. And,
Yeah.
I will tell you, I love those guys, but there's also a little jealousy of, I've always been a team sport guy. Like
Mhm.
I love sketch probably more than I like stand up because there was something about being on stage with other humans and this
Mhm.
chemistry. And then you would get off stage and you're like, can you believe how great that just went? There was this like, when you do stand up, it's just you. And when you
Yeah.
walk off stage, if you bomb or you crush, you own it. But
Yeah.
when you're with a group, I love the group dynamics. And
Interesting.
to those guys credit, the whole Broken Lizard. I wish I had the State. I'm jealous of those
Mhm.
guys a little bit. Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
When I first got out, I had an improv group in San Diego. And we ended up we got on the front page. I'd been out of the Navy like a year. I was in this crazy improv troupe, had no idea what I was doing. And there was three other dudes in it. And we were the comedy club, the improv started to hire us to be like the feature act. And we would get up. We had no mic, so we'd kind of eat it. And then the
Mhm.
headliner would come out and go, what the blank was that,
Right.
jackasses? And then do his stand-up act. But I always wanted that group. Like you have a comedy partner. You write.
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
partner, right?
Yeah.
I like that more than the solitary thing. And honestly, to go back to the podcast really quickly, the Parents
Mhm.
Lounge, we didn't have a team. We had no team. And so it wasn't until I brought Phil Hudson and
Mhm.
Kevin Lewandowski and then Justin Ruppel and his guy Taylor. And all of a sudden, I had a group of people behind me who were like, hey, man, this is a really great product.
Yeah.
Let's go. So I guess I'm just a team guy. And when I got to that set at Tacoma FD,
Mhm.
I'm so sad it's gone
Yeah.
because that and My Boys are probably the two highlights of my career.
Really? Okay.
Personally, of joy,
Right.
of going to work, not feeling pressure. Like, man, Will and Grace, it was fun, it was invigorating, it was exciting, it was scary. It's a little
Yeah.
scary, man. You're like, a lot of money, there's a huge audience, there's
Mhm.
superstars who are making $1 million a week. I'd
Yeah.
leave the table read and go, that dude just walked with 200K Monday. Thank you.
Monday.
Monday, 200K.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It must be same on basketball teams where it's like,
Yeah.
LeBron James and then that dude from Australia,
Yeah.
and there's a dynamic there where you're like, yeah, you're not flying home in a jet, my friend. I
Yeah.
am. And it was
Yeah.
weird. So Tacoma FD, those guys never once ever made you feel bad about trying stuff,
Mhm.
doing a take where you just explore and you could be funny and you let it rip. I equate it back to Seinfeld. I don't know what it was like on the set, but Seinfeld was one of the few shows where they let the guest stars actually get sometimes bigger laughs than the main cast, which I
Mhm.
always find in shows to be like the true genius of a show where
Right.
everyone's there. It's a play. Let it rip. I've been on shows where I'll blow it up. I was on the '70s show and I had a couple scenes and I played this goofy guy with a wig on or
Mhm.
whatever and crushed. I mean,
Right.
I was a nerd. I was a comic book nerd, huge laughs. And they took me aside and were like, hey, man, just so you know, you will never get a bigger laugh than the main cast.
Yeah.
So you might want to tone it down or we're going to be here all day shooting. And I go, really? And they go, I thought they were joking. And they were like, no. Yeah. I probably shouldn't
Wow.
say I'm the worst too. Like
Interesting.
I'll burn myself to say stuff. But
Well, it's
listen, this business
interesting.
is crazy, man. And you sit there and you think we're just making comedy, but
Yes, some people are like that. Yeah.
people get their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Those little memos where it's like, don't look so and so in the eye, and you think they're joking. They're not joking.
You've gotten those memos?
I
Don't
haven't
look.
personally. Well,
Uh-huh.
I worked on some big movies where it was like, but I also am not the crazy person who walks up to Christian Bale on Vice and goes,
Yeah.
"Hey man, Dark Knight, huh? You
Yeah.
crushed
Right.
it."
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
sat next to Christian Bale for a day shooting. He was Dick Cheney. Unrecognizable, by the
Oh,
way. And
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this guy
Right.
might
I
be the
know.
greatest actor who's ever lived. And
Yeah.
he leaned over and he was like, he was so nice. Everyone was super kind, but he was like, "Nice to meet you." And he talked like Dick Cheney.
Oh,
And
he
I go,
stayed in it, right?
he goes, "Nice to meet you. I'm Christian." I go, "It's nice to meet you too." But I'm kind of laid back and I try not to. But other people will, walk up to Bruce Willis on a set, some extra, and be like, "Hey man, can you read my screenplay?" And you're like, "Dude, read the room. What are you doing?"
What are you doing? What are you
People are
doing?
crazy. That's
Yeah.
the problem. And crazy people are drawn to this business. And so, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if I was Tom Cruise, I might be the guy who's like, look, just keep everyone away from me. I'm trying to get my job done here.
You know what though? I mean, I was working on Paramount doing a show, and they were shooting, I guess, some scenes from Mission Impossible, and he had his trailer. Tom Cruise had his trailer, like a giant trailer, and then he had like black like a whole tunnel that he would walk through from his trailer to go to the soundstage because he didn't want people and Paramount on the lot looking at him when he walked to the set or bothering him. I don't know, which I thought was very strange. I was like, but we're all in the like, even on Paramount, people
Even
in
on
the business,
Paramount.
I guess, were bothering, like, we're like, would harass him. I'm like, Jesus, this is supposed to be a set,
It's because
studio.
and it's even worse now. You go to abroad. Remember, like when people dressed up to go to Vegas? Like I remember going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Vegas like in the 80s and 90s, and we brought a sport coat.
right.
Now it's like cargo shorts, flip flops, and a
Hmm.
beer hat or something. And you're like, there's just no decorum
Yeah,
anymore. And people are so, and they're trained by their videos that they can yell and do whatever they want. People go to Broadway shows and just yell out. And you're like, what are you doing, man? It's
what
a
are you doing?
play.
Yeah, what are you doing?
People
Yeah,
are horrible. I know when people are, I always laugh when people are like, no, I think deep down people are good. Some, I would argue a good hunk, not, no, have
well, and
no manners.
that's probably a remnant from social media where they feel like they can just comment and be mean because they're anonymous, I guess, you know?
Well, I think the good thing about social media is that everyone can have their opinion heard. But the worst thing about social media is that everyone can have their opinion heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I love
yeah.
when people like, they're uneducated, they've never left their small town America, and they're like, no, I am 100% certain this is a fact. And you're like,
Yeah.
when's the last time anyone has said, you've raised some really strong points. I'm going to rethink my position. No one.
When you do see that, it always stands out to me. It's like, wow, good. Look at you. You're open-minded and humble. It does stand out when people do that.
Listen, we're all guilty of it. Even just recently, my wife said something to me. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I think, I think your spouse is the one who can really cut you to the bone. And she
Yeah.
said something, and I was like, what do you know? And then later I thought about it, and I was like, no, she's right. I have been. Oh, here's what she said. Here's what she said. Something about a post I had, and she said, you just come off angry.
Hmm.
And I said,
Yeah.
no, I'm a comic. I'm pretending to be angry. And I think I went back and I watched the post, and it reminded me back to early on at Acme Comedy Theater. I had this sketch where I was with a woman and we were on a date, and it was very Jerry Lewis props humor where I kept getting hurt.
Hmm.
I kept getting hurt. Like the window smashes on my hand. It ends by me lighting a candle, and I actually lit my arm on fire and then would roll it out as the lights came down or whatever. And it would crushed. It did so well. And one night it just absolutely bombed, just bombed. And I kept pushing harder and harder, and it was bombing. And I got off stage and I talked to the director, and I was like, dude, terrible audience tonight. He goes, no. He goes, your problem was you didn't play frustrated. You played angry, and it didn't
Oh.
work. And I go, oh, what a specific note. And I've always thought about that because me personally, with my angular features,
Hmm.
you have to go with what you look like as well. And if I play frustrated, I'm super funny. But if I play angry, I come off angry. And
Yeah.
so she was right. And I had to go like, I think maybe in life, everybody needs a director because you
Hmm.
forget it's really hard to self-direct yourself because you
Yes.
get lost in these megaphones of your own things that you're like, no, I'm on track. This is going great. Instead of going like, I wonder how the outside world perceives me.
That's exactly right. You're exact. Yeah. When I recorded the audiobook for my book, I needed to be directed. Even though I direct, I can't. I don't know how I'm coming off. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's actually probably the most profound thing I've heard today. Well, the day just started, but everyone needs to have a director. Yeah.
It is kind of crazy. Yeah, it's weird because we also get caught up in our own listen, I will say the world is, and I know I'm an older cat, but and I look back at simpler time. I don't want to be that guy. It's like, it was easier, but it was
Mm.
easier. I equate it to even crosswalks. Like lately, when you were younger, if you were going to take that right turn and the dude was crossing the crosswalk, everyone make eye contact and they'd hold their hand up, and then they might even jog a couple steps to go like, no,
Mhm.
we're in this together. We're a team.
No.
And nowadays, I go, dude, are you trying to get hit by a car? You
Yeah.
didn't even look up.
Didn't
You
even
are
look up.
deliberately, and it feels like you're slowing your walk down. It's
Hmm.
so odd what's
Yeah.
happening. But I do think, listen, back in the day, people used to like, if you were like in front of somebody's house and you were waiting for them, you'd pull your car over and slide it
Mm.
up, maybe a few cars up. Now they just put it right in the middle of the street,
Hmm.
hit their
Yeah.
hazard lights, and just
Yeah.
wait. And you'll be
Yeah.
behind them and they go, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
even know why they sell cars with rear view mirrors. They should just get rid of it because no one's looking behind them. Nobody cares about
It's
anybody
so
else.
interesting. Yeah. I mean, you're right about that. About people crossing I always think that, boy, you really are trusting of me. You really trust me not to hit you with my car. Or,
Isn't that
Jesus.
crazy?
Yeah. And
I
sure, you
also
get a
think
payday, but I might kill you.
I think it was safer back then too, because you knew, listen, back in those days, you knew to be off the road between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. because that's when
Mhm.
everyone was drunk, right? You
Yeah.
knew it. And everyone was like, oh, drunk driving was terrible. Nowadays, 10 a.m. yesterday morning, the dude next to me getting high
Hmm.
on his phone. So now
Yeah.
it's like 24/7. That's why I can't believe people like, I never cross the street without like making eye contact and going,
Hmm.
dude, are you on your phone or are you
Yeah.
going to hit me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to look for yourself.
But
Exactly.
again, I'm old. So what do I know? What do I know? It is
Hmm.
weird trying to teach my kids. And I mean, we've talked because your kid's a little older, but trying to impart knowledge of the world to them to be aware of their surroundings. Like I always say, they're probably years from now, they'll go like my father always said, read the court, see, you gotta have full court vision. I
Yeah.
see it in cars. Like my wife will be behind one car and I'll go, you can't see that 3 cars up, that dude stopped. Like you're changing lanes because I'm looking 5 cars ahead.
Right.
But people
Well,
nowadays, it's just this one little, they
Tom,
just keep their heads down and you're like, pick your head up, man. But people don't.
yeah, be careful. I need to know. So I want to know business right now. I'm jumping around, but business is still slow for you in terms of acting gigs because they're not, from what I see, they're not shooting a lot. Was that what you were seeing?
That is true. And I've had a handful of amazing auditions lately
Oh, you
that,
have. Okay.
yeah,
So
like
it's picking up.
not a ton, but here's the dilemma is they're all self-tapes.
Right.
And I'm pretty good at self-tapes. You can see there's the lights behind me. There's a curtain right above me that comes down and then I shoot it that way. And they're
Hmm.
pretty great. And I'm again about trying to be directed. I've asked my agents and my managers and been like, hey, am I self-taping these right? And they're like, dude, your self-tapes are solid.
Hmm.
But there's no feedback. And I do
Hmm.
think back in the day, I got a lot of jobs because I was great in the room. I was probably better
Yeah.
in the room than I was as an actor.
You could take
So
a
I would get
note.
hired because a lot of acting is chemistry.
Hmm.
And you want to see that the person you're working with is going to be cool and able to
Yeah.
hang and quick
Well,
on their
also take
feet.
take a note. Can you take a note?
It's so funny you say that, dude.
Hmm.
So no, lately, I was, for a while, I was just putting the one take on where I was like, this is how I see this part.
Hmm.
But this one I had the other day, it was so good, dude. This was it was handsome adjacent
Hmm.
was the breakdown, which I was like, all right, because
Okay.
I'm lumberjack, good looks. I'm like, I know I've walked into rooms, I've seen Brad Pitt in a room, and I've been like, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm a little al dente. That guy is so
Yeah.
gorgeous. I'm like on the cover of, a paper towel roll. I get it. I know. I'm
Hmm.
Portland. I'm Portland. I'm a Portland
Portland.
10. I'm a
Right.
Portland 9, maybe. So it's at handsome adjacent, early 50s, jerk cop. And I was like, I go, dude, this should be offer only. Why am I reading for this thing?
Right. Right.
So I did the first take. I submitted one where I was like, more Tacoma FD. I was Polanski. Because I go, well, that's why I got in here, because they know me from that.
Right.
And then I was gonna just submit that one. And I said, you know what? Because you can't go in a room. Dude, the casting directors are so good that I've had the pleasure to work with. Wendy
Uh-huh.
O'Brien, who did that one, is one of my faves.
Mhm.
She'll she'll give you notes that will kind of give you a nuanced performance where you're going, oh, I see the change. Yes, 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 because it's hard.
Yeah.
And so I did a totally separate take. I had a friend over here, and I did another take that was so the opposite extreme of like, he wasn't big at all. He was very underplayed in tone. And when I sent them in, my agent said this, he goes, really great that you did two separate takes. And I said to him, it's a new show. I've never seen it. I don't know what the tone is. There's no direction. You're
Right.
literally reading this, hoping that your take jibes with the guys who are going to hopefully see this tape or not. I don't know.
Mhm.
And I also submitted it like the audition came out on Monday. It was due Thursday. I memorized it, submitted it on Tuesday. Because that's the other thing they tell you. They go, early bird gets the worm. So
Right.
the business has changed so
Yeah.
much. You're working really hard to pump these things out, but you're like, is anyone seeing any of it? It would be nice if somebody once just called and was like, hey, man, you're not getting it. But I got to tell you, you did a really good job, man. You did
Right.
really good.
Right.
Which you get in a room, or
Yeah,
sometimes you don't. Sometimes.
Yeah. So interesting. The life of an actor. So what is left for you as we wrap up? What is left for you today? What does your day look like today? An average day for you?
We are relaunching the podcast. We have an advertiser that's just come on board. We are currently on Buzzsprout, but we're going to jump to Megaphone. And
Okay.
we're still doing the live ones on Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific time. It's on right now. It's everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. It goes out live. We're going to slowly bring that back in, and we are jumping to Patreon. So come find us at the Parents Lounge on Patreon. And then we are, so we're kind of doing all the marketing right now. And then I'm still working with the same guys you work with who have been eye-opening. It's like a master's class in this business of social media. About getting people on, because again, like you, I feel like we have a really solid product that people not only like and enjoy, but I think it helps parents kind of understand that it takes a village and not to get consumed in your day to day. This is not to end on a terrible note, but we went to a funeral yesterday. One of the parents at my kid's school passed away, cancer, young,
Oh, God.
with young kids. And, we were all having like a meltdown early in the day about whatever garbage problems we had on. And then we all got there and we were like, oh,
Yeah.
this is eye-opening, right? This is like, what I can't believe I was bitching about
Yeah. All right.
such and such earlier in the day. And then, so, especially as a parent, I mean, I became a parent late in life. And so I lived a glorious 30s and 40s, but now, my life's kind of consumed by others. And so I see people in the middle of the country who are hanging on. It's tricky times. The government's in disarray. It's an election year. Prices are through the roof. With all these fires and everything, insurance rates are going up, and people are literally day to day of like, hey, man, I don't think this is tenable. I don't know how we're going to get through this. So on the Parents Lounge, we try to, bring in a little seriousness, but a lot of humor, and make everyone go, all right, I guess we're all in the same boat. And so that's kind of our mainstay now. We're building everything towards the relaunch of the podcast in a few weeks. So the Parents Lounge, come check it out.
And they should also follow you where?
At Jamie Kaler on Instagram. I usually do some daily posts about my kids and all comedy. And then we'll be touring. So the website will be up. Actually, Phil is, our boy is they're building it as we speak. JamieKaler.com will be up. But come find us at the Parents Lounge and social media on Facebook at Jamie Kaler and TikTok.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was a good chat.
Thank you so much. Honestly, again, this has been cathartic in a way of like, I do think, especially what you do, conversation is an art form, and I think it's falling by the wayside because people are so enthralled with these tiny little morsels of entertainment, and so the spoken word is being lost. I'm making my children read out loud a lot. We read out loud a lot because I think it's a dying art, and hopefully the pregnant pause will come back one day.
Excellent. Jamie, thank you again. The Parents Lounge, go follow them on social media. It's a great talk. All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
Wow, I did it again. Another fantastic episode of What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? How do I do it week after week? Well, I don't do it with advertiser-supported money. I tell you how I do it. I do it with my book. If you'd like to support the show, if you'd like to support me, go check out my new book, A Paper Orchestra. It asks the question, What if it's the smallest, almost forgotten moments that are the ones that shape us most? Laura Sangiacomo says, good storytelling also leads us to ourselves, our memories, our beliefs, personal and powerful. I loved the journey. And Max Muchnick, who was on my show, says, as the father of daughters, I found Michael's understanding of parenting and the human condition to be spot on. This book is a fantastic read. Go check it out for yourself. Go to michaeljamin.com/book. Thank you all, and stay tuned. More great stuff coming next week.